I know it's not the level of competition that you're going to face moving forward, but a shutout. I'm wondering though if the happiest thing was just getting that pick, because I don't think any of us would want to talk to you if you didn't get a turnover tonight.
No, that's very true. I appreciate DT for getting that one. That would have been a major black eye on an otherwise good night for the guys. But no, the competition. To your point, no, the competition escalates from here. But a good first start.
And we'll go to Ryan Aber from the Oklahoman.
Yeah, Alex, like you said, the competition just ramps up from here. But were you encouraged by the tone that y'all were able to set early with the string of 3 and outs that extended, what was it, I think through the first half of the second quarter?
Yeah, I thought you saw an excited football team, and obviously specific to the defensive side of the ball. I thought the guys were excited to, have an opportunity to play, which they should. And I thought, when you always talk about fast starts to any game, but in addition to that, obviously when you're talking about the first opportunity to play under the lights, real game, it counts. And so what was pleased certainly with the start and just the overall energy, and I thought in some early non-conference games a year ago, but just very disappointed maybe in our lack of energy in terms of our ability to sustain that over the course of four quarters. And so just credit to the guys in terms of maintaining that along the way. So I was pleased that.
Appreciate it, Alex.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to James Hale with KREF.
Hey, Alex, your front seven seemed very active. You played a bunch of guys tonight, and, you saw a lot of different guys. What did you think of your front seven tonight?
I thought it was good, and like you mentioned, an opportunity to get a lot of guys in the game. And I know we've talked before. One of your biggest frustrations as a coach is you give a guy an opportunity, they don't take advantage of it. So it was good. Some young guys, some first opportunities to be Oklahoma Sooners, and play again in a real football game. And so I just thought overall, like I haven't seen the numbers and all that, but just active, and that's what we need to be. And again, like we talked about, the level of competition increases from here. But just to see guys, displaying the brand that we want to play, down in and down out. Again, encouraging for week one.
You also played Cradell a lot at the nickel in the second half. What did you think of his play?
I thought he did a nice job, and Jay's, Jeremiah's a guy that redshirted for us a year ago. Has made some real good strides over the course of an off season. That we can talk about the off season until we're blue in the face, but he did, and a good fall camp to kind of back that up. And I think he's a guy that is itching for those opportunities, and I think he'll only get better from here. And so that was a good starting point for him, and a guy that we need to get some meaningful snaps out of this year.
Thanks, Alex.
Let's go to Dean Blevins from KWTV.
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to follow up a little bit on what James had to say there with Winfrey, and it seemed like Thomas flashed a little bit tonight. What'd you think of Winfrey, and that your preseason basically is done with, because now you're into Big 12 play with Winfrey?
Well, what I've seen is not just tonight, but over the course of all at camp, just very active, and displays a quickness, a powerful, physical game to go with that. Really in a lot of ways only scratched the surface in terms of what he's going to be. And so I think it's exciting, as you mentioned, now you're getting to conference play. It's a 9-game season, but however many weeks, which I haven't even looked into in terms of how many weeks we get to get those 9 games in. But I know we have an off week next week, and I know he's one of those guys that's going to see some valuable reps to see on film when we get back in the meeting room on Monday. And get a chance to improve from. I think it sometimes is minimized, those early games over the course of a season, which again, for us this year is just the one, but you finally get to see something new. You play the same offense day in and day out, and obviously we were very fortunate because we see so much from our offense. But all of a sudden, today we get, two back eye formation. Well, we get very limited reps of that over the course of a fall camp. And so you see different plays, different schemes, different, ways that an offensive line would protect in the pass game or block you in the run game. And so for all those guys up front, it's very, again, valuable reps. Especially for a guy being a first-year guy in the program. And then I would highlight Isaiah Thomas, and I hope we've talked about him before, but a guy that does everything right and just plays his tail off. And so he'll continue to have an impact on our defense.
Go to John Hoover with SI Sooners.
Yeah, hey, Alex, we talked the past few weeks about versatility and keeping guys ready for numerous positions. With so many guys out tonight, did you have to utilize that? Did you find yourself moving guys around at all, chess pieces at all?
Not as much as we had planned on. Got what comes in my tray, nor with some work at corner and safety. Kind of planned on that. As we went through our practice reps this past week in particular. But we had, throughout the secondary kind of really moved checkers around, Pat Fields at nickel, Delarin at free safety, Buki at strong safety, just kind of looking at all the different ways that you may be affected. Brian Meade at defensive end, believe it or not, but just in any conceivable way that, we thought we could possibly be affected. A guy chin strap breaks or something like that. I mean, and you got to field 11 guys, and they may not be the normal position that they play, and so not as much jockeying around as maybe we prepare for. But that was a responsible thing to do, and I'd probably be a little bit naive to think this is only the only week we're going to have to do that, and so it's just one of the kind of many challenges that we face these days.
Let's go to Brandon Drum with OU Insider.
Yeah, Alex, appreciate you doing this. You talked about Isaiah and how he stepped up, but last year it seemed like he came on, I guess, at the end of the year, especially in the Big 12 title game. The progression that you've seen from him, how far has that gone from the start of last year to now, in your opinion?
Well, I think probably the I don't know if it's an attribute necessarily, but the one thing that stands out is, he's a guy that, when we have, an opportunity to jockey guys around like we talked about in the secondary, but in the front we said, okay, we're Isaiah Thomas can play end, he could play nose, he could play tackle, he could, he played some interior for us tonight, played on the edge, like you mentioned, the bulk of last year. And so, you only do that with guys that can handle it. You only do that with guys that you trust. And that they're going to give, whatever they lack in the number of reps at that particular position, they're going to make up for it with just sheer effort. So Isaiah is one of those guys for us. I'm a big fan of him because you tell him today you're going to be a defensive end, tomorrow you're going to be a defensive tackle, and he shakes his head, and all he does is do it to the best of his ability. So you can't have enough of those guys on your team.
Okay, a couple more. Let's go to Keegan Renaud of Sooners Wire.
Yeah, Alex, you're able to get two rushbackers on the field in third down situations. Is that a year ago? You guys were getting a lot of bear fronts and 5-man fronts. Is that going to be a personnel thing, or was that a personnel thing for this year, just maybe more tweeners than you maybe had a year ago?
I think we certainly have more pieces there on edges. I think all healthy and all playable in games. I think part of it too just stems from the fact that who's available. We have to be prepared to look at all those things. Are you going to be in a situation that you're going to be able to sub, for instance? One of the things that we talked about is how much can you invest in the sub package. You could have X number of guys and say this is going to be our third down deal for the week, and then on Friday there could be a test, and all of a sudden you don't have those individuals. So how much can you invest in the sub package over the course of a season and that? So, but that's something that's obviously ongoing. But anytime those third downs, I mean, they're playing takeaways. I mean, that's how we look at third downs. We call them key downs. The only difference between a third down stop and a takeaway is field position, because obviously there's a kicking play after it. And so just a critical down. And so what you like to do is get your best, pass rushers out there in those third and long situations so you can take advantage of it. And then, like I said, but still, conscious of the fact that we got to make sure that what we can't do is walk into a game and say, well, the things we practice that week aren't available. And so that's just something that we got to, kind of keep an eye on.
Hey, last question. We'll go to Kerry Murdoch.
Alex, how satisfied are you just kind of avoiding the unknowns? I mean, going into this thing, I mean, you're playing a team that's only playing 3 games. You probably watch other games. You see some teams have problems with tackling. Some teams have problems with special teams. Like, just going through this whole thing, how satisfying is it that so many things probably could have jumped up and bit you in a first game that didn't?
No, I think it's a great point, and I think there's a little bit more fear in the unknown than maybe a normal calendar year, and where there should be or shouldn't be. I mean, ultimately, when we kicked off tonight, it most certainly felt like a football game. But no, I think as you say, you think about all those days where you had it turned in more walkthrough than full speed reps because of X number of guys out that particular day. What about the wear and tear on those individuals that haven't been out? They look, all of a sudden you say, okay, only have X number of guys on certain days over the course of fall camp. Well, those guys that have been out in a lot of ways are the healthiest guys on your team when they come back, because we're talking about 10 and 14-day stretches as you go through this thing. So those individuals that practice all those days, how have we done with them? Have we done the right thing by them? You can look at it and say, let's limit the hitting, the physical reps in practice and all those things. But if you limit it too much, oh my goodness, did we prepare them to have their best game, best season, for them individually, let alone us collectively. So, no, I mean, your point is absolutely accurate, and it is nice to have one game under the belt and say, okay, a football game broke out here at 6 o'clock tonight, and we had some guys execute, the things we've been practicing over the last month and a half.
Thanks, Alex.
That's it for tonight, Coach. Thanks.
All right, thanks, guys. See y'all.